In the mid-20th century, the skies became a battleground for technological supremacy, with nations racing to conquer the jet age. The Tupolev Tu-104, the Soviet Union's first jet airliner, soared into this arena as a symbol of ambition and innovation. Unveiled in 1955, it promised to catapult the USSR into the forefront of commercial aviation, challenging Western giants like Britain's de Havilland Comet. Yet, what began as a dream of engineering prowess and national pride spiraled into a nightmare marred by technical flaws, tragic accidents, and a tarnished reputation. The Tu-104's story is one of bold aspirations undone by persistent challenges, a cautionary tale of ambition outpacing execution. By the early 1950s, the Soviet Union state airline, Aeroflot, faced a pressing need to modernize. Piston-engined aircraft like the Aviation IL-14 were slow, unreliable, and costly to maintain, hampering efficiency across the vast Soviet expanse. The global aviation landscape was shifting, with jet engines promising speed, reliability, and prestige. The British had already stunned the world with the Comet in 1952, and the United States was developing the Boeing 707. For the USSR, building a jet airliner was not just about improving Aeroflot's operations, it was a strategic move to assert technological parity with the West during the Cold War. The Tu-104, codenamed Camel by NATO, was envisioned as a beacon of Soviet engineering, capable of shrinking the sprawling Soviet Union and showcasing its industrial might. The Tupolev Design Bureau, led by the legendary Andrei Tupolev, took on the challenge in 1953. Rather than designing a jet airliner from scratch, a time-consuming and resource-intensive endeavor, Tupolev opted for a pragmatic approach. The Tu-104 was derived from the Tu-16 Badger, a successful jet bomber. By retaining the Tu-16's wings, engines, and tail surfaces, Tupolev minimized development costs and accelerated production. The key innovation was a wider, pressurized fuselage designed to seat 50 passengers, complete with a luxurious interior featuring mahogany, copper, and lace fittings. The prototype, built at the Kharkov plant, first flew on June 17, 1955, with test pilot U.L. Alashiv at the controls. A drag parachute was added to compensate for short runways, reflecting the era's infrastructure limitations. By November 5, 1955, the first serial Tu-104 took flight, marking a milestone in Soviet aviation. The Tu-104 was undeniably a political statement, designed to stun the West and affirm the USSR's place in the jet age. When the Comet was grounded from 1954 to 1958 due to fatal crashes caused by metal fatigue, the Tu-104 seized the spotlight as the world's only operational jet airliner. Its debut on March 22, 1956, at London's Heathrow Airport during a state visit by Nikita Khrushchev and Nikolai Bulganin shocked Western observers. The CIA had underestimated Soviet capabilities, and the Tu-104's sleek design and jet performance challenged assumptions about the USSR's technological lag. By 1957, Czechoslovak Airlines, SA, became the first airline to operate exclusively jet routes using the Tu-104A, further amplifying Soviet bragging rights. The aircraft's speed, comfort, and range of 2,500 miles made it a propaganda triumph, symbolizing the USSR's ability to compete with, and even surpass, Western aviation. The Tu-104 was a medium-range, narrow-body jet airliner powered by two Mikulin AM-3 turbojet engines, each delivering 6,735 kilograms force of thrust in the initial version. The Tu-104A, introduced in 1957, featured upgraded Mikulin AM-3M engines with 8,700 kilograms force, while the Tu-104B boasted AM-3M-500 engines with 9,700 kilograms force. The aircraft measured 130 feet in length with a wingspan of 113 feet and a height of 40 feet. Its swept-back wings, inherited from the Tu-16, enabled a maximum speed of 510 knots, 590 miles per hour, and a cruising speed of 400 to 460 knots at altitudes between 32,808 and 39,000 feet. The Tu-104B's stretched fuselage accommodated up to 115 passengers, with a range of 1,140 to 1,485 nautical miles depending on payload. Fuel capacity ranged from 21,000 to 26,500 kilograms, though its relatively short range necessitated multiple stopovers across the Soviet Union. A climb rate of 2,000 feet per minute and a drag parachute for landing underscored its robust yet transitional design. The Tu-104 was a direct competitor to the de Havilland comet, capitalizing on the latter's grounding to claim global prominence. From 1956 to 1958, it was the sole jetliner in operation, carrying over 90 million passengers for Aeroflot. While the comet pioneered jet travel, its structural failures gave the Tu-104 a temporary edge. However, the Tu-104's derivative design lacked the comet's originality, and its safety record soon drew comparisons to the comet's early woes. By 1958, the redesigned Comet 4, alongside the Boeing 707 and Douglas DC-8, overshadowed the Tu-104 with superior range, reliability, and safety. The Tu-104's brief reign highlighted its role as a stopgap rather than a true rival to Western jets. The Soviet Union showcased the Tu-104 with flair, leveraging its novelty to captivate global audiences. Its 1956 London appearance stunned aviation experts, and subsequent international flights, including transatlantic crossings, underscored its capabilities. The USSR promoted the Tu-104 as a symbol of socialist progress, with Aeroflot advertising it as the only line with mass jet exploitation. The aircraft's luxurious interior and speed, cutting travel times across the USSR, impressed passengers and foreign dignitaries alike. In 1957, the Tu-104A set speed and payload records, reinforcing Soviet claims of technological superiority. The world was awestruck by the USSR's rapid entry into the jet age, a feat that seemed improbable given its reliance on piston airliners just years earlier. Despite its promise, the Tu-104 was plagued by technical problems. Its heavy, unresponsive controls and poor wing design made low-speed flight challenging, increasing the risk of stalls. The aircraft's tendency to pitch up violently before stalling forced pilots to land at speeds of 270 to 300 km per hour, nearly 50 km per hour above recommendations, straining brakes and runways. At least 2 accidents were linked to this pitch-up phenomenon, exacerbated by the aircraft's bomber-derived aerodynamics. Engine flameouts in turbulence and false fire alarms further eroded pilot confidence. These issues, rooted in the Tu-104's rushed adaptation from the Tu-16, made it a handful to fly, earning it a reputation as unforgiving. Pilots voiced concerns about the Tu-104's handling from its early days, but initial responses from Tupolev and Soviet authorities were dismissive. Andrei Tupolev reportedly insisted, "There is nothing wrong with the plane, it is you who do not know how to fly it." However, mounting accidents forced action. By 1958, after crashes near Kanash and Khabarovsk killed 144 people, the Soviet Council of Ministers pressured Tupolev to address the pitch-up issue. The maximum cruising altitude was reduced to 9,000 meters, and stabilizers and wing designs were modified. Pilot training was also revised, though these changes only partially mitigated the problems. The Soviet government's reluctance to ground the Tu-104 reflected its propaganda value, prioritizing image over safety. The Tu-104's safety record was dismal, with 37 of 201 aircraft lost in crashes, resulting in 1,137 fatalities between 1958 and 1981. Notable accidents included the 1958 Kanash crash, killing 80 diplomats in an updraft-induced spin, the 1973 Alma-Ata crash, where a fire claimed 90 lives, and the 1979 Moscow crash, killing 58 due to a false fire alarm and overloading. The 1981 Pushkin crash, caused by improper cargo loading, killed 50, including 28 high-ranking military officials, prompting the Tu-104's permanent grounding. These tragedies, often linked to design flaws, pilot error, or overloading, cemented the aircraft's deadly reputation. The Tu-104's frequent crashes and high fatality rate eroded public trust. By the 1960s, a sardonic folk song emerged, dubbing it the fastest aircraft that takes you to your tomb in 2 minutes. Passengers feared its unreliability, and its nickname, Tulip, became synonymous with danger rather than elegance. The Soviet practice of classifying accident details fueled rumors, amplifying distrust. As safer jets like the Tu-154 and Western airliners gained prominence, the Tu-104's image as a symbol of progress faded, replaced by its notoriety as the USSR's most dangerous airliner. The Tupolev Tu-104 began as a bold contender in the jet age, embodying the Soviet Union's drive to rival the West. Its sleek design and record-breaking flights captivated the world, briefly placing the USSR at the forefront of commercial aviation. Yet, Its flaws, unresponsive controls, stalling tendencies, and a litany of fatal crashes, transformed it into a cautionary tale. The Tu-104's legacy is bittersweet. It pioneered jet travel in the USSR, paving the way for successors like the Tu-154, but its high cost in lives and reputation underscores the perils of prioritizing prestige over safety. By its final flight to the Ulyanovsk Aircraft Museum in 1986, the Tu-104 stood as a relic of ambition, a dream that soared briefly before crashing into reality.